Welcome back. Chapter 11, Organizing Internal Operations. You remember in the past we talked about how you got to take care of the inside and then worry about and make sure that is congruent with the external, and we've talked about that. So today we're going to talk about internally. How do you internally make sure that you're helping execute your strategy? Put it into action. Actually, this is the fourth thing. You remember there was a list of 10. So this is number 4. Allocate sufficient budgetary and other resources to the strategy execution effort. You are the manager. You have asked your people to do action that will lead to this objective. You've got to make sure that you have provided them with the resources they need, which means you've had to come up with a budget that will show how you're going to pay for the resources they need. Number one, it shows you that you have really thought about what you want them to do and the things it's going to take for them to get that done. What a great piece of work. You've thought about that. So if I know they're going to need this, let me now make sure that I have gone somewhere to find the budget and the money to support those activities. You've got to get your people the stuff they need to do the job. Now, I know how tough that is. I'm not pie in the sky. I'm not that you've got a pot of money over here that's limitless. Obviously, budgets are tough. You got to cut with a thin pencil. You got to figure this out. So you have to be judicious. You have to be smart about it. You have to sometimes rob from Peter to pay Paul. That's okay. So this doesn't mean that you allocate sufficient budgetary. That doesn't mean, oh yeah, here's some more money. That's not what that means. That means, dudes, here's what I think you need. Here's what it's going to cost us. Here's what I've got budgeted. This is all we have. Now, it's up to you, Mr. Manager and subordinates, to monitor that, keep track of that, and use those as effectively as you can. So this thing about the budget doesn't mean, hey, just make sure you got more money than you need. No, it means we know you have limited resources. Just use them as well as you can. That's basically what this says. So do y'all understand that? I mean, this is a deal with money. And a lot of people go, oh, well, that does not mean you give them anything they want. That means reasonably the two of you come together. This is what I really need. Now, manager, let me see if I can go out and find that money. Do y'all understand that? Everybody, you got that? You see what I'm saying? All right, I knew it. Sooner or later, the police were going to show up. I knew it. I've been begging you guys, please don't do that kind of stuff. Well, welcome to your nightmare. You got them here. Thank you very much. You've been trying all semester. You've been having elephants running around. You've been having balls and stuff. You've been thinking you might fine. Thank you. Finally got them here. I hope you're proud. I hope you are proud of yourself. We finally got the cops here. Well done. Man. Y'all killing me. All right, number 5 on that list, if you remember, was institute policies and procedures that facilitate strategy execution. In other words, put policies and procedures in place that do not create roadblocks. Actually, they clear the road. They clear the path. There's something called path goal a theory. You need to go look at that and see what that's all about. But that talks about that. Manager, your job is to get out in front. You're like a blocking back, and you're going around the corner, and your job is to make sure you block anybody that's trying to knock that runner back down. So you get out in front of that employee, and if there's a meeting in his way, get it out of the way. If there's this organizational form he didn't fill out, you get it out of the way. That is your job. Do not let this bureaucracy, these policies, keep your employees from doing what you've asked them to do. They don't need to spend time and money on these peripheral things. You've given them their objectives. You get out in front and make sure they only have to deal with that objective. That is your job. So, how do you do that? How do you institute policies and procedures that facilitate this execution? Well, number one, you provide top-down guidance on how to get things done. You are a teacher. If you're going to be a manager, you basically are a teacher for the rest of your life, because these employees don't know what you know, and they don't know what you want them to do, and you have to teach them. So you have to provide top-down guidance. Dudes, here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to tell you specifically, step by step, how we're going to get this done. Number two, ensure consistency in how execution critical activities are performed. In other words, here are the things we want you to do as an organization. And we believe that these activities are going to help us execute this strategy. Make sure everybody knows the right way to do it. Make sure there is consistency across the board. Change it if it doesn't work. But the point is, if you're not consistency, you don't know what worked. So you've got to be consistent. Everybody's got to be doing the same process in the same way. And if it works, fine. If it doesn't, okay, we know it's the process. It's not anything else. So make sure you're consistent. And number three, promote the creation of a work climate that facilitates good strategy execution. In other words, create a climate that supports that. Again, get things out of their way. Make sure that they are properly appreciated when they do that. It supports it. You got a problem, we will fix it. One of the worst things you can do is have your employees ask them to do something, they go do it, and they bump into that wall. You didn't bother to get that wall out of the way. And they come back and they say, man, it's tough. And you go, I'll fix that, and then you don't. They've told you it's a problem, and you ignored their plea. No. You make sure you create a climate where they believe, hey, all you got to do is go tell him, he'll fix it. She'll get that done. Go talk to her. She will make sure that's taken care of. Create that climate. And number 6 on that list, adopt best practices and business processes that drive that continuous improvement in meeting those objectives. Now, best practices, you're going to hear that term again. There's no magic. Best practices is just what you think has worked in the past, and you can prove to yourself and others that this is why we're doing that, and so we're going to adopt those best practices. There's all kinds in your book. I mean, and I'm just mentioning a few. There's business process reengineering, total quality management, TQM, which was popular when I was in school. Not so much anymore, but it was the rage when I was in school. TQM processes. You got this thing called Six Sigma. Y'all know about that. Y'all need to Google all these things. You need to Google Six Sigma and read a paragraph about it. That's all you need to know right now. You can't learn it. To learn it, they're gonna charge you. You got to pay for it. But a lot of companies are paying Six Sigma to come in and teach their people, this is how you do this. This is a process. Some of them I personally like, some of them I personally can't stand. Six is the one I think is ridiculous. But that's my point. If I was in production though, if I was in a production industry, I'd probably be all over Six Sigma. So some of them work in some areas, some of them don't work in other areas, that's fine. The point is, you can go find these best practices. Because there are people that can show you Six Sigma works like clockwork. And I can show you that TQM works like clockwork. Just pick one. Pick a best practice that has a track record that you think fits your environment and your situation and use it. How wonderful is that? Number 7, install information and operating systems that enable the company and personnel to carry out their jobs. When it comes to MIS, make it easy. This is it. This is my little pet peeve. Go to your MIS staff and have a meeting with them. And you need to say, guys, y'all need to learn how to speak English. Absolutely know how to speak English. It drives me crazy. You got a problem with your computer and you call MIS and they send somebody over. And the guy sits down and he starts typing like this. And he's going, well, your GPR is not accessed with your PRT. And then you've got a cross-reference and I'm going, dude, just show me the next time this happens, hit Control G, then Shift, and it's fixed. Or here's how you get to that file to fix it. That's all you have to show me. I'm not a dumb man. Show me that. But I'm not going to learn what a PRG and an XKY and an interact. I don't want to know all that. I don't want to know all that. That's your job. Just show me how to do that. So make sure your MIS people speak English. When they come in, they need to do all this, absolutely. And then when I say, now what did you do? They need to go, oh, just hit Control G. It takes you to this file, and there's your problem. I can understand that. Control G, file problem. I appreciate you know XRG and PG9 and all that stuff, but I don't want to know that. I don't need to know that. So when it comes to that MIS, your job is to make it so your employees can get there. I need to know what sales were here. I need to know everybody that makes over $80,000 does. Boom! That ought to take 3 keystrokes. That shouldn't require an in-depth knowledge of software and hardware. So make sure you do that. That's critical because we all count on MIS so much now. And it's become like a have and have-nots. It's like, well, you're not smart enough to understand it, or we don't want to take the time to explain it to me. You don't have to explain anything to me. Tell me Control G. That's all I need to know. There's no understanding about that. That's Control G. I don't even know why it works. As long as it works, I'm a happy man. And number 8, tie the rewards and incentives directly to achievement that are focused toward meeting your strategic targets. Rewards and incentives. If you don't think people work on that, you are insane. If you don't think that college-educated people will act on that, you're insane. We're talking about human beings. Whether you're educated, not educated, management, non-management, we all respond to that. You got to trust me. I don't want to bring out the research and show you because it would be boring and you go, trust me. Dadgummit. Oh, you're too professional to be affected by rewards. That is insane. That is insane. That means you don't have enough humanity to be affected by rewards. We are all affected by rewards. We all enjoy a birthday cake. If you don't, you need to go seek help. But we all enjoy a birthday cake. That's a reward. Congratulations, you made another year. Here's a reward. Blow the candles out. How cool is that? We all enjoy that. Don't tell me you don't, because I know you do. And if you don't, it's because you've tried to convince yourself that you don't, but you really do. I know you do. So anyway, absolutely understand that about yourself and understand that about your employees. They respond to that. Always provide attractive perks and fringe benefits. You can't hand somebody a $100 bill every time they do something good. You know that. I know that. That wouldn't work anyway. But there are all kinds of things you can do to help people. And don't get in their way. So, okay, I need to tell a couple of true stories. When I was at the bank, my head teller came up with this. I wasn't smart enough to come up with this. She came to me, and a teller line back in the day was all female. And she came up and she said, I need to ask you something. This was like in November, right around Thanksgiving. And she said, I've got a plan. I'd like to give every one of my tellers a half day off with pay. They can leave, they can close out at 11:30, be gone. Because they need to Christmas shop. Their kids are still in school, they don't have to get a sitter, blah, blah, blah. They can just go Christmas shop and be fun and be good for them. And I went, that sounds like a great idea. Well, I'm giving away 5 hours of employment. I'm paying for that. I'm not getting it. So I had to have that approved. You would not believe the hoops I had to jump through. Again, the bank put all these out to get that time off. You have to write a finally I got it approved. I said, I will not back off from this. Greatest thing we ever did. They loved it. They all remarked that they loved it. What a great, great opportunity. That's the kind of incentives and things you can do. See, I could do that. It was money, but if I'd said to the bank, I want you to give me a check for 6 hours worth of work to give to them, I'd never gotten that approved. But they would let me do that eventually. So be creative with the way you incentivize these things. Now, let me tell you this one last thing. I've got a degree from LSU. I went to their banking school when I was with the bank. 3-year process, long, don't need to know anything about that. However, so I finished the bank. I finished the process. I leave the bank. Now I'm in graduate school. Now I'm teaching college. And, you stay in touch. I'm an alumni. And so I got a letter one day saying, would you be interested in grading some cases? Because that's a lot of casework. These guys that go to the bank school, they write all these cases. And since I was in management, this case was about motivation. How do you motivate your work staff? And so the question to these bankers was, write a scenario how you would motivate people. And basically they were saying, come up with something creative to help motivate your people. And I got one of these, and I'll never forget, I'm sitting there grading it. I had a stack of them, and I'm sitting there grading it. And I literally started screaming at the paper. My wife comes running, and she goes, what's wrong? And I'm going, you don't. I am just screaming at the guy that wrote this. Here was his idea on how to motivate his employees to improve their performance, to help him meet the objectives of the bank. They had a program where if you came and opened a new account, you would get everything from, like, if you opened a big account with a bunch of money, they give you a toaster. Something. Anyway, if you came in and opened any account at all, you got a pot holder with the bank logo on it. Well, the incentive program was over, and this branch manager had like 2 boxes of pot holders left that he had not given away. He came up with a great idea. That if you do over and above your objectives, in other words, you work your tail off, you get all this extra stuff for the bank, income and profits and whatever, we'll give you a pot holder. He expected that pot holder to make somebody wake up in the morning and go, today I'm really going to bust it. I'm going to get there a little early. I'm going to really dig into it because I want that pot holder. Dadgummit, if you give an incentive, you better make sure it's something they want, that they value. Dadgummit. So do that. I wasn't smart enough to figure it out. My head teller was that these tellers absolutely valued that afternoon of no kids, can go shopping, get this out of the way. That's a huge burden at Christmas. I need to get it out of the way. They valued that. If I'd have said, here's a pot holder, they'd have laughed at me, just like I laughed at that guy. What an idiot. So understand that. All right, so we're still talking about, how to give these rewards. You need to create that environment that says if you do well, things are going to go well. You'll get those kind of fringe rewards if you do it. You just absolutely need to create that. All right, so we talked about, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on that big list of 10. We just got a few more to talk about. This ends chapter 9. Peace, read the book. We're almost done. We got one more of these. Got one more chapter and we're done. It's been too much fun. I'll see y'all for chapter 12. Bye.